Hello YouTube, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today, well, first of all, welcome back, full stop, but today we're going to be getting straight back into the car review, something I haven't done for a while. It's been a bit of a break, I think since July, so all of August there wasn't any videos on Assetto Corsa, but we are back and we're looking at this wonderful car, the Lotus 311. Now I'm going to say straight out, this car is incredible, absolutely incredible to drive. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that's going to reflect on my rating. So yeah, do be prepared for a pretty high rating on this car as we pull out. Of course, we're on the track, the Touristenfahrten of the Nürburgring Nordschleife, so we're going to see what we can do around this track. Traction control and ABS are both switched off for this, so you're going to see some lockups as I try and bring the tyres up to temperature, but overall a very nice drive. Let's get into the specs before we talk about that though. So the Lotus 311, of course, it's a track version, but there is a road version of this car, but in Assetto Corsa we do have only the track version. It brings out something around 460 brake horsepower at 7,000 RPM. That's 466 PS, or conventional horsepower, I suppose. So yeah, it's 460. That's pretty decent. I think that's a pretty decent number right there. But I do like these torque figures: 387 pound-feet of torque at 3,500 RPM. That's 525 Newton meters for those who work in the metric system. 0 to 60, that means takes only 2.9 seconds, or 0 to 62, 3 seconds. Next to makes no difference really. Really, I think 0 to 60, 0 to 62 is only measured in half a second for most cars. But there we go. Top speed of this vehicle does go all the way up to 180. That's right, 180 miles per hour in this little open top Lotus. And yeah, that's pretty special on the specs. Transmission on this vehicle is a 6-speed sequential transmission with a paddle shift. That's on the race version, which is what we've got here. I wish we had the road version, because the road version has a manual transmission, and it does have a Torsen type limited slip differential for the road version, so we don't really have to worry about that. But it does have cassette type plate differentials for the race version, so that's what we've got right over here. I think it's really nice. It's well done. The engine itself is a 3.5 litre V6, 24 valves. It's water cooled, made out of an aluminium block with a supercharger. That's right, there is a supercharger on this. It's mid-engined, rear wheel drive, and it does have a low inertia flywheel, so it does give you those very quick changes. And in total it weighs an incredible 890 kilograms. That's it, just 890. I think that was really well done. The suspension is fully independent double wishbone with front and anti-roll bars, and you can adjust the dampers on this, so that's pretty cool. You can set this car up because it is a race vehicle. It does have aerodynamics on it, so you can see there's a front splitter, a rear diffuse, and a wing. And by aerodynamics I mean enhanced aerodynamics. Obviously every car has some amount of aerodynamics, and the way they've kept the weight pretty light on this vehicle is by making an aluminium bonded chassis with carbon fiber body panels. So that's, you know, they have thought about this. They have definitely thought about this. Wheels on this car are 18 inches on the front, 19 inches on the rear, and I believe they use Michelin Cup 2 tyres, which are 225/40 ZR18s on the front and 275/35 ZR19s on the back. Of course, wider rear wheel drive. You want that extra bit, and you know, you want that extra bit of grip. I think that's about it for all the features. So let's go on to what this car is like in Assetto Corsa for the next few minutes. This is a shorter video. I'm going to be easing myself back into this. Well, modelling, absolutely fantastic. I love how this car looks. It's very accurate to the real life car. I have to admit, it does have to grow on you a bit, especially the front end. It just, because it's open, it's sort of a roadster style, it sort of has to grow on you a bit because there's no windscreen, but it is some sort of a roadster. Now if there was a windscreen, I think it would look more sort of at home, but it looks a little bit off. That being said, after a little bit of time, I started really liking this. So, you know, well done Lotus. Texturing, fantastic outside, but inside I've got to point something out for Kunos. For the first time, I find the HUD looking a little bit low resolution, so unfortunately I have to knock marks off for that. If you just look closely, I mean, YouTube's going to compress this, but even, you know, at 1080p, you can tell that the HUD is slightly low resolution, and I don't like that. I do not like that. It just breaks that immersion a little bit, and of course in VR that immersion is going to break totally when you look at things and go, oh wow, everything's low resolution. Sounds, V6, definitely a V6. Sounds great. The exterior sounds are brilliant. The interior sounds I found it sounded a little bit, just ever so slightly distorted. Nothing major, but it's just ever so slightly. You can just tell that there is some sort of a distortion on it. Apart from that, the sounds are really nice. I thoroughly like the sounds of this car. I'm not a big fan of V6 engines, but for a car like this, it really does work. I mean, just take a listen to this. See, it's really good. So, you know, I haven't got any complaints on that, apart from that slight distortion that I hear on the interior sounds. Last but not least though, the physics, that's the important part. What is this car like to drive? Well, this car is, it's a race car. It feels like a race car. It's twitchy, it's you know, it wants to move, the suspension's stiff, it feels like you have to drive the car, you have to work the car, but at the same time it feels so comfortable to drive. You feel at home driving this vehicle. You saw I had a few snaps of oversteer here and there, and I just managed to compensate. It was that easy to feel the car. Yes, you can push it a little bit more than I push here. Obviously, first time driving the car, I don't generally push too much, but I just felt that inherent confidence with this car. I really love the drive of this vehicle. I just wish it was a manual, but it, you know, it doesn't ride the bumps brilliantly, I'll be honest. It's a bit stiff, so keep it off tall curbs. It rides the bumps on the track sort of okay. It's not amazing. You do feel a twitch when you're on the bumps, but for the most part it feels really nice. It feels smooth, stable. When you're braking, it feels like it is slowing down very well. You're not feeling too much loss of grip on the back, as obviously as the nose pitches down. You got the standard rear-wheel drive characteristics, you know, wanting to oversteer, but overall it just, you've got very good awareness of the car and what the car is doing at all times, and it feels very planted to the surface. Feels very flat around the corners. It feels very, the upshifts are very precise, very solid upshifts as well. You don't feel a sudden jolt in the rear wheels as you start upshifting. Of course, you can spin the tires in first and second gear with this, and you can drift this car if you so desired. Overall, I've got to give this car, I would have given it a 10 out of 10. I really would have given it a 10 out of 10, but because of the HUD looking a little bit low resolution and that slight distortion in the sound, I've got to knock half a mark. I've got to knock about, I'd say 0.75 of a mark off for both of those. So unfortunately, this is getting an 8.5 out of 10. If those things were fixed, I would give it a 10 out of 10. It's really that good. But don't let that put you off driving this vehicle. I thoroughly recommend driving this car. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think of this car. And do support my Patreon scheme. Link to that is in the description box below. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Sorry for this being short, and I will see you guys next time in Assetto Corsa.